Absolutely.
Thank you for coming to our third Industrial Hemp Symposium and Legislative Forum. And whether everybody in the hemp industry likes it or not, what you do is inherently political and legislative, because you are directly affected by decisions that are being made on the regulatory end and the legal end. And so it's very important for participants in the industry and aspiring participants in the industry to learn about some of the things we're going to be talking about today in terms of the legal framework around industrial hemp, and share ideas and for action around making it easier for the industry. We all know about the importance of industrial hemp, from body products to building supplies to biofuels to food supplements, over 25,000 products. Not only is hemp an environmentally conscious product, it's a job creator, economy booster. I'm very proud that in Colorado we are truly in the forefront of industrial hemp. We also know about our great legacy of hemp and how many of our founding fathers cultivated it, and some of the very first American flags were made from hemp as well. The 1850 census documented that there were 8,400 hemp plantations of at least 2,000 acres. So it'll be interesting to see what date we can return and surpass the historic production levels of 1850, but hopefully that's only a few years away. From 1930 until 1960, the United States government recognized industrial hemp, and of course even promoted it through videos and USDA, until somehow it became conflated with other members of the cannabis family later on, obviously really hurting the ability of farmers across the country to be able to grow industrial hemp. In January, I sponsored legislation, the Industrial Hemp Farming Act, to remove hemp from the Controlled Substances Act once and for all. That would be a very clear change. The bipartisan bill let farmers and manufacturers develop hemp free from federal interference. We haven't gotten a vote on that bill. The ability of getting votes on bills is always challenging, but we were able to force a vote and win a vote on a related hemp bill, as many of you recall, in 2013, when I introduced an amendment to the Farm Bill that would allow colleges and universities to grow and cultivate industrial hemp for academic and agricultural research. Obviously, thinking here in our state of CSU and Fort Collins, but of course across the country, because there has been very little development of this crop over the last several decades, because universities, which are partially federally funded, have all been very hesitant to even have any on campus, and particularly when we're talking about developing seed and strains that work, that kind of academic and scientific work is very, very important. And I'm glad to say that CSU and CU and many other universities have begun research on hemp, and Colorado State has over 30 varieties planted this year, several classes about hemp and the economy. So we're very excited to see that, and that wouldn't have been able to happen if we hadn't been able to pass that amendment to the Farm Bill. Both CSU and CSU have been granted registrations through the Colorado Department of Agriculture, who you'll also be hearing from today, to research and develop hemp. Their research had been held up prior to that due to lack of cooperation and clarification from the DEA. So that's one of the things we continue to work with our universities on, is getting what they need out of the federal regulators. The DEA violated this amendment last summer when it seized hemp seeds intended for university research in Kentucky. We then were able to pass another amendment that prohibited the Department of Justice and DEA from using funds to prevent state agricultural agencies and universities from growing industrial hemp in states where it's already legal. So the DEA was kind of going rogue on this, and we were able to, through Congress, prevent them from doing that by removing their funding to do that. And I called on my colleagues in Congress and the USDA to be proactive in making resources available for hemp research. And I think that's going to be very much in line with the future that we're building for the industrial hemp industry. I was very pleased to learn the USDA will be supporting industrial hemp research through the National Institute on Food and Agriculture, NIFA. And with NIFA research grants, research institutions and farmers can expand their research well beyond the original capacity. Secretary Vilsack was in town about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I had the chance to talk with them and update them on our industrial hemp economy here in Colorado. Several of my colleagues and I were also concerned with the recent statement of principles on industrial hemp, and while it was a step forward, it had some shortcomings. And we renewed our call on Secretary Vilsack to remove the agency's definition of industrial hemp or revise it to be the same as the one we used in the Farm Bill. Confirm that general commercial activity doesn't prevent any type of sale occurring from the framework of an approved pilot program. Very importantly, remove the attempted prohibition on transporting plants and seeds across state lines in 2 states where it's legal. So that's a very important one. And confirm that a state will not be penalized for securing seed and plant shipments from other states. So obviously it doesn't make sense to recreate the wheel in every single state. We are in the United States after all, and we ought to be able to, like we do with any other industrial crop, move seeds across our own state borders. So thank you for coming today. We're going to have an interesting panel discussion, and hopefully this is a way that we can engage all of you in the legislative process, the legal and regulatory process around what already is and promises to be a very important industrial crop for our country, with ramifications in consumer product industry, industrial engineering, and many, many other areas. Each panelist will introduce themselves and give a brief presentation. I'll try to, Mara, is it 5 minutes each that they speak before questions? 2, okay. So we're going to try to, so that's about a 10, we'll say 3, so we're missing one of our panels. So we'll go 3 minutes each. You know, just a little bit about who you are, and then about the important past, present, and future of industrial hemp. And we'll start with Barbara to my immediate right.
Yeah. Hi, No.
Hello.
Hello. Hi, I've worked with industrial hemp in all the developing countries, Romania, Poland, Hungary, China, South Korea, Canada, for 23 years. Prior to that, I've worked with natural fibers in India, from field to finished products. So I have economic development experience, field to fabric processing, and supply chain value added. I focus on hemp, but it's not the only sustainable value-added agricultural crop. And I'm 42 years in natural fiber textile engineering, basically.
Rick Trojan with Colorado Cultivars on the Hemp Road Trip and the Industrial Hemp Research Foundation. We have about 1,240 acres under cultivation this year, mainly growing for seed for grain and for CBD secondarily. We have a road trip, our bus is off back. We've been to 40 states, about 35,000 miles across the country, just telling people what hemp is and what hemp is not, showing them the different products that can be made from hemp, talking with legislators on the state and federal level, trying to help pass the Industrial Hemp Farm Act.
My name is Morris People from Colorado Hemp Company. Local guy here in Loveland. I grew up here. I grew up on a farm. I went to CSU. I've been in the music business for about 25 years. I started Colorado Hemp Company in 2012, basically as an extension of my skill set in the music industry, doing merchandise, events, printing. And since then, we've started the NOCO Hemp Expo. We did Hemp on the Slope. We're starting to work with festivals like the Rise Festival, bringing together hemp companies to promote products to the marketplace, as well as interact on a business level. And we've also got a printing company called Tree Free Hemp. We do hemp paper, so we do business cards, marketing materials, program guides, and we actually just created the very first locally grown hemp paper brand called Hemp Stock Paper, using pure hemp pulp from Pure Hemp Technology in Fort Lupton with a partner out of Boulder. So we've got a 50-50 blended Colorado hemp-grown hemp paper. So we're all excited about that.
I'm also excited about that because we printed the Hemp Business Journal on that hemp paper. So, well, it's still hemp paper.
It's still hemp paper.
From or so, hi everyone, I'm Sean Murphy with the Hemp Business Journal. We started Hemp Business Journal because there wasn't a lot of data and market intelligence in the hemp industry 2 years ago. And over the course of 2 years, we've developed several market reports, the most recent one on CBD And we believe we've solved that missing data market intelligence problem. So we like to inform everyone what's happening in the market, where are the opportunities and where are the trends, and to really support Colorado and continue its leadership. Through the reports, that's what we found, whether it's consumer products or engineering, innovation, Colorado is one of the leaders. If not, I would just say it, the leader. So thank you for all being here. You're in the room where the leadership is happening. So thank you.
So I'll start with the first question. What do you see as the biggest challenge for the industrial hemp industry? And it's two answers. So for the next year and in the next 10 years, what do you see as the biggest challenge over the next year and over the next 10 years?
Utilizing existing classifications by the USDA bio-preferred program, the trucking codes that specify the movement of hemp around the country that have been on the books since 1911, 1934, GSA contracts that are requesting hemp products. I see within the next year, with the help of Congressman Polis and our lobbyists in Washington, we can clearly move this forward as an industry. Obviously, we need jobs everywhere in the United States, and clearly we have enough people certified under the USDA's bio-preferred program to create a new industry.
I think the biggest challenge we have this year and in the upcoming years is just education, helping people understand that this plant's an option, helping farmers understand that they can plant this and should plant this, and helping the government, particularly the DEA, understand that this isn't a drug and it shouldn't be illegal. So I think education is key to solve that.
I would just say being able to make sure that hemp is federally legal, that it's treated like corn and potatoes, all parts of the plant, CBD, all the cannabinoid extracts, that all that is protected. Again, it's treated like any other crop. When we get to that point, things are going to, kind of settle down for the industry, and entrepreneurs can create products. We can just really start treating this and growing this as a real industry. But until that happens, we're going to continue to fight and have the issues that we're having.
So it's absolutely those three, and you guys, like 1, 2, 3, took my answer. So I'm going to go with my fourth thought on it. I think it's consumer demand, everyone. We're seeing a lot of extra supply. We can produce hemp now, and that's going well, and states are coming online, but if people aren't buying all of these new and innovative hemp products, if they're not educated to understand, if it's not fully federally legal, that's going to be tough for us. We need to have consumers in the market in general, our friends, our family, people to understand what hemp is and why it's a better product in many cases than what they're currently using.
Consumers are aware. My company is new daily, 5 new requests for products spanning 74 countries. We don't have the infrastructure to process what we're currently doing. But I clearly see we have the most talented, experienced people in this room, and it starts with the farmers. And everything is identified in the supply chain. If anyone was able to be at that Sunday meeting, the supply chain, I tried to spell this out. This is part of what I do as a project manager in countries. We have our teams, we are all part of the supply chain, that the farmers have to be aware, first of all, that there's multiple components to this plant. And that a farmer, if you're a cotton farmer, you're growing cotton, you're sending it to a gin. You're not making the granola bars and the particle board. So the burden does not lie totally on the farmer. And all of this will be clearly spelled out when we can get into our groups.
Good. I'll be running around. So who has questions for our panel? I'll move the microphone over to you and go ahead and speak in the microphone.
hemp from invading other fields? Do we have some answers for how to prevent hemp from winding up in farming fields, food fields, and, do we have some good answers besides glyphosate?
It's hard to answer when there's no farmer out there.
My experience was always
Move the microphone a little closer to you there, so, yeah.
in the countries I've worked in, hemp was always used as a companion crop because they couldn't afford pesticides. So the hemp acted as a companion crop in biodiversity. Now that the demand has grown so highly in Western China, it's turned into corporate ag, where the Red Army manages the agricultural project. But I don't know that question, other than what I answered.
The others?
I was just North Dakota, and the glyphosate was used. It actually destroyed the hemp crop. It came over from the one farm onto the hemp crop that they were studying and destroyed the plant. So the concern probably is more the other way versus that way. Versus hemp going over.
Great, thank you. Zeb?
Hello, everyone. So other than CBD, what do you see as the lowest hanging fruit for hemp in the next couple of years in terms of products?
Food, hemp seed, hemp oil. We're already seeing it with, Rick Trojan's farm here is providing seed that's being dehulled and pressed for oil for Evo Hemp and some other people. And we've got Colorado hemp seed on the market right now. So food is an easy one. Everybody needs to eat food, and everybody should be eating hemp food. Eat more hemp.
I want to stress what Morris said. It really is food. So when we look at consumer sales, everyone, we realize a company, Evo Hemp's a great example, they can sell their products into Whole Foods, into the large or big box retailers, whereas CBD, that's still very difficult and in most cases not happening. So the low-hanging fruit is really where can these products be sold and where is there already a supply chain in place for that? And with some of the products, that is either non-existent or it's still very difficult. So food, it's well greased, ready to go, and a lot of those buyers, they're going to pick up those products, and they are.
So what other infrastructure needs do you guys see that need to be in place to help create the full circle of industrial industry here in Colorado?
Well, we can't until there's an amendment made on the 0.3% and what part of the plant they're testing. I believe, just from my experience in Canada, when they started growing hemp 19 years ago, that seed was testing above 0.3. I can't recall exactly, but once that seed was cleaned, it changed. Now, I'm by no means a seed expert, but it's pretty logical to look at this. If you're taking it from a field, a hemp seed pod looks like marijuana. It smells like marijuana. It's sticky like marijuana, but it's full of seed. So the brain says, okay, it's marijuana. Well, no, it's not. I believe it's the inherent property of the seed itself. Once that seed's clean, I believe it's a viable product. And currently the demand is huge because of Fukushima. We need omegas. It cannot come from our deep sea fish oil anymore. So if we could get this together, our biggest buyers for this product is Japan, China, Asian countries that are growing for fiber. They're not growing for seed. But if we don't get a move on, they will start growing for seed.
Let me just expand on that a little bit, because you brought up the 0.3%, which will probably be talked about a little bit more later on. But this percentage is very problematic, not only here in this state, but all around the country. And it's going to have to be addressed nationally. I mean, we got to look at this from the point of science, and that Okay, so a farmer grows, 200 acres and all of a sudden they come in at 0.4, 0.5 and having to destroy that crop is really going to just hurt the industry significantly when we could say, okay, it's gone over, we can place it over into this other area now through the CDA and through regulatory practices. Let's call it purgatory. And here it is in purgatory, and we can address, okay, so it's above that. And if it's going to go into the food system, then there's a process to remove that THC so it's below the level or completely out of it. And I think that can be done with today's technology. I don't think there's any reason to be destroying crops because they're slightly over, because of what my friend Richard Rose would call the devil's molecule.
Hi, I'm David Bush. I'm an industrial hemp business attorney. My question, I'll start with an observation first, which is the internet is huge, and that we all in our businesses live and die by the internet and our websites and Facebook connections. That's how new businesses really get their starts. My question for you is, what your experience with the challenges you're now facing using the internet, trying to promote your products, sell them, getting paid for them? What's going on these days with that?
So we had about 55 different CBD companies to understand where they were selling their products exactly, and the vast majority said most of our products are sold on the internet. But with that has come problems, merchant account problems. Banks will shut them down and say, look, we're not going to license unless they reach a high threshold to the point that it makes sense for the bank to be like, well, that's a pretty good account we have. We're going to let that keep going. So we've seen a lot of the CBD companies have trouble getting their merchant accounts up, but the bigger ones are doing a lot better. So whatever you're selling, it depends, right? It depends. So CBD a little bit harder, but for your fiber, I mean, for some of your basic fiber in consumer ones, I'll let you speak on that, Barbara. I don't think they're really.
Recently, one of my clients sells jewelry, and she had a little hemp leaf, and she sells beads. She was denied credit card processing on the internet. Me, now I've been scrutinized for 23 years. Homeland Security has held my shipments. FedEx has held my shipments in Memphis, Tennessee. The only one they let go was the Metropolitan Opera House. The other one that was going to North Carolina to work on a waterproof finish mysteriously disappears. And we've got to discern what the subject matter is here. CBD is a medical issue. I am talking about job creation, the value added, and the amount of money our farmers are losing and the jobs that are being lost and how it has negatively affected my company and the companies that are depending on me to supply. This is job creation. I'm not at liberty to even discuss CBD because I don't have the knowledge that others do. I work with farmers, value added, and that's why I'm here. We're holding back jobs.
We're in the same bucket as marijuana when it comes to banking. What the foreseeable future on banking? Do you have any updated information on it?
I think that's going to work itself out. Because if Wells Fargo handles